గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ అండి. గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ వినపడుతోందా అండి? నా మాట వినపడుతోందా? స్టార్ట్ చేయనా? గుడ్ మార్నింగ్, శుభోదయం, సత్ శ్రీ అకాల్. ఇవాళ పంజాబ్ క్యాపిటల్ గురించి చెప్పుకుందాం. మన దేశంలో 2 రాష్ట్రాలకు కలిపి ఒకటే క్యాపిటల్ ఉంది. అదే పంజాబ్‌కి, హర్యానాకి చండీగఢ్. ఈ చండీగఢ్‌లో ఉన్నటువంటి రాక్ గార్డెన్ గురించి ఇవాళ మనం తెలుసుకుందాం. The Rock Garden of Chandigarh is a sculpture garden in Chandigarh, Punjab and Haryana, India. It is also known as Neckchand's Rock Garden after its founder Neckchand Saini, a government official who started the garden secretly in his spare time in 1957. Today, it is spread over an area of 40 acres and it is completely built from industrial and home waste and discarded items. ఎందుకు పనికిరావని పడేసినటువంటి వస్తువులతోటి ఈయన ఈ గార్డెన్లోని రకరకాల బొమ్మల్ని వస్తువుల్ని తయారు చేసి డిస్ప్లే చేశారు. The rock garden sits near Sukhna Lake. It consists of man-made interlinked waterfalls and many other sculptures that have been made of scrap and other kinds of waste. That means waste ante ento chudandi, bottles, glasses, bangles, tiles, ceramic pots, sinks, electrical waste, broken pipes, etc., which are placed in walled paths. When Chand left the country on a lecture tour in 1996, the city withdrew its funding and vandals attacked the park. The Rock Garden Society took over the administration and upkeep of this unique visionary environment. చూసారా, ఆయన వదిలి ఒక్కసారి వేరే దేశం వెళ్లాల్సి రాగానే దాని మీద దాడి జరగడానికి ప్రయత్నం జరిగితే మరలా దాన్ని తీసుకొని కంట్రోల్లోకి తీసుకుని దాన్ని సంరక్షించడం ప్రారంభించారు. దీన్ని ప్రతిరోజు 5,000 మంది దర్శించడానికి వస్తారంటే ఇది ఎంత పేరు ప్రఖ్యాతులు గాంచిందో మనం అర్థం చేసుకోవచ్చు. అండ్ మోర్ దాన్ 12 మిలియన్ విజిటర్స్ సిన్స్ ఇట్స్ ఇన్సెప్షన్. అది ప్రారంభించినప్పటి నుంచి దాదాపు 12 మిలియన్ల కన్నా పైచిలకు విజిటర్స్ దీన్ని చూడడం జరిగింది. ఉమెన్ సెలబ్రేట్ ద తీజ్ ఫెస్టివల్ ఎట్ రాక్ గార్డెన్ చండీగఢ్. సో ఇలాంటి అద్భుతాలు ఇంకా ఎన్నో పంజాబ్లో ఉన్నాయి. మనం రోజు కొన్ని విషయాలు తెలుసుకుందాం. సో మీకు సెషన్ స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది కాబట్టి లెట్ us meet again tomorrow at the same time. Until then, have a nice day. Bye bye. Thank you.
Good morning, students. Welcome to AP online classes for intermediate students. This is Prashasta Kumari. You are watching civics class. Today you are going to learn about 2 topics from 4th lesson. Those are Rajya Sabha and parliamentary committees. So in our previous session, you have learned about powers and functions of Lok Sabha speaker and also powers and functions of union legislature or parliament. So today you are going to learn about 2 more topics. Those are Rajya Sabha and parliamentary committees. Okay, so you are learning from 4th lesson, that is union legislature, and today's topics are Rajya Sabha and parliamentary committee. So Rajya Sabha is presided by chairman, and today you are going to learn about the chairman of Rajya Sabha and his powers and function. So he is Venkaiah Naidu and he was a present chairman of Rajya Sabha. Okay, so Venkaiah Naidu is the present chairman of Rajya Sabha. So these are the previous chairmen, okay, from first chairman to present chairman of Rajya Sabha. So let us see who are they and when they were worked as a chairman of Rajya Sabha. Okay, so these are all Vice President of India too. Why? Because means Vice President will automatically become the chairman of Rajya Sabha. So that is why he can be called as Vice President, can be called as ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. So that means if a person becomes Vice President of India, he automatically becomes the chairman of Rajya Sabha. So he is the first chairman of Rajya Sabha, that is Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan. He was chairman from 1952 to 1962, and next was Zakir Hussain. He was from 1962 to 1967, and next was Varahagiri Venkatagiri from 1967 to 1969, and next Gopal Swarup Pathak from 1969 to 1974, Basappa Danappa Jetty from 1974 to 1979, and Justice Muhammad Hidayatullah from 1979 to 1984, and next Ramaswamy Venkata Raman from 1984 to 1987, and next Shankar Dayal Sharma from 1987 to 1992, Kocheril Ramanarayanan from 1992 to 1997, Krishan Khan from 1997 to 2002, Bairan Singh Shekhawat from 2002 to 2007, and Muhammad Hamid Ansari from 2007 to 2017, and the present chairman was Venkaiah Naidu from 2017 onwards. Okay, so these are all the chairman of Rajya Sabha and also vice presidents of India. Okay, so this is our parliament, Indian Parliament. So Indian Parliament consists of three bodies. Those are Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and President. So in your previous classes, you have learnt about President of India. So his powers, how he will be elected, okay, his qualifications, and so on. So, and also you also learnt about Lok Sabha. Okay, so what is Lok Sabha, how Lok Sabha members will be elected, and who will preside Lok Sabha, and what are the powers of Speaker of Lok Sabha. Okay, next, Parliament of India. So it can also be called as Union Legislature. So in your previous session, you learnt about the powers and functions of Parliament or Union Legislature, and today you are going to learn about the Rajya Sabha. Okay, so this is Rajya Sabha, and this Rajya Sabha is presided by chairman. Okay. Okay, so let us see the composition of Rajya Sabha. So Parliament of India consists of two bodies, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. So Lok Sabha you have learnt about in your previous sessions itself, and today you are going to learn about Rajya Sabha. So the maximum members in Rajya Sabha will be 250 members, but at present there are only 245 members. Okay, so out of these 250 members, 12 members will be nominated by the President of India. Okay, that means they are appointed by President of India, and the remaining 238 members will be indirectly elected by the state MLAs and also Union Territories MLAs. Okay, so this is indirect election. Okay, Rajya Sabha members will be indirectly elected to the Rajya Sabha. That means voters will not participate, but voters will elect MLAs, and those MLAs will participate in the election of Rajya Sabha members. Okay, and next coming to the Rajya Sabha, and some more points you will learn here. So Rajya Sabha is the upper house or second chamber union of states in the union legislature or parliament. So that means Rajya Sabha can also be called as upper house and also second chamber and also council of states in the Parliament of India, and it was constituted on April 3rd, 1952, and its first sitting was held on May 13, 1952. So first general elections were conducted to Parliament of India in the year 1952. That is why in the 1952 year itself, both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha first sessions were conducted. Okay, the members of Rajya Sabha are elected by State Legislative Assembly members. So State Legislative Assembly members means MLAs. member of legislative assemblies. That means Rajya Sabha members will be elected by MLAs of all the states in our country and also union territories. And next, the Election Commission of India conducts election of Rajya Sabha member. So we are having Election Commission of India. It is a constitutional body. It conducts elections to parliament, both houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and also state legislative assemblies. So that is why Rajya Sabha members elections is also conducted by Election Commission of India. Okay, the election procedure of Rajya Sabha members was borrowed from South Africa Constitution. Okay, so our constitutional features are borrowed from different constitutions. Okay, so this feature, that means the election procedure of Rajya Sabha members, is borrowed from South African Constitution. Okay, so let us see the qualifications of a Rajya Sabha member. So what are the qualifications? Means he shall be a citizen of India. So Rajya Sabha member contestant should be a citizen of India and he shall have completed 30 years of age. So MP of Rajya Sabha should complete the minimum age of MP of Rajya Sabha should be 30 years. He should be completed 30 years. And next, he shall be a resident of the state for a minimum of 6 months. That means in other state member can also contest in our state as a member of Rajya Sabha, but there is one condition. So what is that condition? Means he should reside in our state for at least 6 months. Then only he is eligible to contest as a Rajya Sabha member from our state. Okay, he should not hold any office of profit under union or state government. That means the contestant of Rajya Sabha member should not hold any government job either in union government or in state government, and he should not be insane or bankrupt. That means he should be healthy. He should not be mentally retarded or any other mental disturbance should not be there for him. Okay, so and he should not be bankrupt. That means he should not lose all his properties. That means more less assets, more liability should not be there for him. That means he should not lose everything, every assets in his life. Okay, so that is bankruptcy. And next, he shall possess such other qualifications as prescribed by the parliament. So parliament can fix or can prescribe some other qualifications for the members of Rajya Sabha. Then they should also be satisfied by the contestants. Okay, so these are the qualifications of Rajya Sabha members. Okay, so let us see about deputy chairman and panel of vice chairpersons. Okay, so you know about the chairman. Okay, so chairman is the presiding officer of Rajya Sabha. He will be the vice president of India. So in his absence, there should be another person to lead or to conduct the sessions of Rajya Sabha. So that person is deputy chairman. So he presides over the meetings of Rajya Sabha in the absence of the chairman. So deputy chairman is a person who will preside the meetings of Rajya Sabha in the absence of chairman. Okay, so the deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha is elected by the members of Rajya Sabha from amongst the members. So chairman is not the member of Rajya Sabha. Chairman is vice president of India. But here deputy chairman is a member of Rajya Sabha. That means one of the members of Rajya Sabha will be elected as deputy chairman. Okay, next, panel of vice chairpersons. Okay, panel means group. So these group of vice chairpersons are also needed to conduct the sessions of Rajya Sabha in the absence of chairman and deputy chairman. Okay, the chairman of Rajya Sabha nominates 6 members of Rajya Sabha as panel of vice chairpersons to conduct meetings of Rajya Sabha in the absence of chairman and deputy chairman. So totally 6 panel members, 6 members will be appointed as vice chairpersons to conduct the meetings of Rajya Sabha in the absence of chairman and deputy chairman. Okay. So next, coming to the powers and functions of the chairman of Rajya Sabha. So you have already learnt about the powers and functions of the speaker of the Lok Sabha. Those powers of Lok Sabha speaker and chairman of Rajya Sabha are almost same, but some differences are there. So those are regarding the money bill. Okay, so money bill will be introduced only in the Lok Sabha, and the discretionary power whether the bill is money bill or not is only with the Speaker of Lok Sabha. And during the joint sitting, okay, so joint sitting or joint session meetings will be conducted only by the Speaker of Lok Sabha, not by the Chairman of Rajya Sabha. So that privilege is given to Speaker. Okay, so these are the two differences, main differences between the Speaker of Lok Sabha and Chairman of Rajya Sabha powers. Okay, so the first powers and function is the chairman presides over the meeting of the Rajya Sabha. So Rajya Sabha meetings will be conducted by the chairman. That is the first and foremost duty of chairman of Rajya Sabha. Next, he allows ruling and opposition party members to introduce bills and carry out discussion on them. Okay, so generally what happens in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha means bills will be introduced and bills will be discussed, voting will be conducted on the bills, and results will be announced. So that is same process is also in Rajya Sabha. So as a chairman of Rajya Sabha, he allows for the introduction of bills by both ruling party and also opposition party. So if ruling party introduces the bills, those bills can be called as public bills, and if opposition party or other members of Rajya Sabha will introduce bills, they can be called as private bills. So generally public bills, the bills which are introduced by the government members or ministers, will only be approved in the house because of majority. Okay, so discussion will be conducted on the bill. And next, he conducts voting on bills and announces the results. So after the discussion on the detailed discussion on the bill, so the chairman of Rajya Sabha will conduct voting on the bills. So whether to decide it is passed or not. So if the votes more votes are in favor of the bill, then the bill can be said that it is passed. If there are less number of votes in favor of the bill, then it can be said that the bill is rejected. So this will be announced by the chairman of Rajya Sabha, whether the bill is passed or rejected. And next, he sends the bills approved by the Rajya Sabha to the Lok Sabha. So if the bill is approved by majority members of Rajya Sabha members, then those bills will be sent again to Lok Sabha. Okay, so that Lok Sabha speaker will send them to President of India for his assent. So this is the process of the bills. Okay, next, he allows the ministers to make announcements in the Rajya Sabha. So generally ministers will make their announcements both in Lok Sabha and also Rajya Sabha. So as a chairman of Rajya Sabha, he also allows ministers to make any announcements in the Rajya Sabha house. And next, he participates in the joint sitting of the parliament as the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. So joint sitting will be arranged in two conditions. So one is during the inaugural sessions of the parliament sessions. Okay, so every parliament session will begin by the inaugural speech of the president. So then joint sitting will be arranged. That means both the members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha will meet together at one place. Okay, so generally for parliament sessions, separate sessions will be conducted for both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Only for joint sitting, both members will sit together. So that joint sitting will be presided by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, not by the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, but he will participate in the meeting. Okay. So next, he announces the panel of vice chairman to conduct the meetings of the Rajya Sabha. Okay. So after becoming the chairman of Rajya Sabha, he will conduct the meetings of the Rajya Sabha, and also he will announce the panel means 6 members. Okay, Rajya Sabha will have 6 panel members or 6 panel vice chairpersons to conduct the meetings of the Rajya Sabha in the absence of chairman and vice chairman. Okay, so next, he conducts the election to the deputy chairman of the Rajya Sabha. So one more responsibility is the chairman will conduct the election to deputy chairman of the Rajya Sabha. So chairman is not the member of the Rajya Sabha, but deputy chairman is member of the Rajya Sabha. That means deputy chairman is one amongst the members of the Rajya Sabha. So these are the functions and powers and functions of the Rajya Sabha chairman. Okay, so let us move to our next topic, that is parliamentary committees. So today you are going to learn about parliamentary committees. So parliamentary committees are generally two types. They are standing committees and next another one is ad hoc committee. Standing committees are permanent committees and ad hoc committees are temporary committees. Okay, standing committees, they are elected or appointed periodically and they work on continuous basis. That means these standing committees are permanent and the members who are elected or who are appointed for those committees will work on continuous basis. Okay, so periodically and they work on continuous basis. And next one is ad hoc committees. So ad hoc means temporary committees. So they are created on an temporary basis as the need arises and they are dissolved after they complete the task assigned to them. So these are temporary committees and these temporary committees will be abolished or will be dissolved after the completion of the task. Okay, so those are ad hoc committees. Okay, so let us see what are the parliamentary committees, okay, in detail. So parliamentary committees can be classified into two types, that is standing committees and ad hoc committees. Under standing committees there are again two types of committees. One is ordinary committees, another one is financial committees. Okay, ordinary committees are services committee, house committees, inquiry committees, etc. And next financial committees are public accounts committee, estimates committee, committee on public undertakings. Okay, so next ad hoc committees are select committees, joint select committees, railway committees, draft committees, etc. So in your syllabus you are having only about financial committee. So you should learn only about financial committees. Those are public accounts committee, estimates committee and committee on public undertakings. Okay, so these are called as financial committees, public accounts committee, estimates committee and committee on public undertakings. So let us learn them in detail. The first committee is public accounts committee, second one is estimates committee and the third one is committee on public undertaking. So let us compare all these three committees. Okay, so estimates committee was established in 1950 on the recommendation of John Mathai, and the public accounts committee, it was established in 1921. So this is the oldest committee out of these three committees under the provision of Government of India Act 1990. So that means during British period itself this public account committee was established. And next, committee on public undertakings, it was established in 1964 on the recommendation of Krishna Menon committee. Okay, so estimate committee consists of 30 members from Lok Sabha. That means it consists of only Lok Sabha members, that too 30 members is its membership. And next, public accounts committee consists of 22 members. So out of 22 members, 15 members will be elected from Lok Sabha and 7 members will be elected from Rajya Sabha. That means both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha members will be there in public accounts committee, and whereas in committee on public undertakings it consists of 22 members, same as public accounts committee, and these members are also 15 members from Lok Sabha and 7 members from Rajya Sabha. Okay, so what are the main duties of these committees means? So estimates committee report what economy improvements in organization, efficiency or administrative reform consistent with the policy underlying the estimates may be affected. And next, public accounts committee examines appropriation account and finance account along with any other accounts laid before Lok Sabha. It is assisted by COG, that means Comptroller and Auditor General. And next, committee on public undertakings, it examines reports and accounts of public sector undertakings as well as reports of COG, that means Comptroller and Auditor General, and PSU. PSU means public sector undertakings. Okay, so this is brief outlook of the three committees and let us learn them in detail. Okay, so first committee is public accounts committee. Okay, so it was set up in 1921. So Public Accounts Committee was set up in 1921 and it has 22 members, and out of these 22 members, 15 members are elected from Lok Sabha and 7 members are elected from Rajya Sabha. Okay, the members are elected by members of parliament amongst themselves via a system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote, so that all parties get due representation in it. That means these members, these 22 members are elected by the members of parliament. Both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha members will participate. Okay, so the system of election is a proportional representation by means of a single transferable vote, and the duration is the members are elected for a period of 1 year. So the members will be in their post for 1 year. So these 22 members will be in their post for 1 year, and again for the next year another 22 members will be elected for Public Accounts Committee. Okay, so a minister cannot be a member of Public Accounts Committee. Okay, so this is about Public Accounts Committee, and let us see what are the functions of Public Accounts Committee. So what functions it does means the committee examines the annual reports of COG of India. COG means Comptroller and Auditor General. So this Public Accounts Committee examines the annual audit reports of COG. So COG submits reports to the Parliament, and these reports are examined by Public Accounts Committee. So let us see in detail about COG. So COG means Comptroller and Auditor General of India. So this is a constitutional body, and this is the office of Comptroller and Auditor General of India. And let us see what are the functions it does. So Comptroller and Auditor General of India. So Article 148 to 151 and Part 5 of Indian Constitution provides for Comptroller and Auditor General of India. So in our Constitution, so about COG was described in Article 48 to 151 and in Part 5 of the Constitution. Okay, so he shall be appointed by the President of India. So this COG, that means Comptroller and Auditor General of India, will be appointed by the President of India. So this is this point you have learnt in the executive powers of the President. Okay, so it audits all receipts and expenditure of the Government of India and the state governments, including those of bodies and authorities financed by the government. So what is the main duty of COG means Comptroller and Auditor General of India? They will check the receipts or incomes and expenditure of the Government of India and also state government. So what incomes they have received and what expenditure they have incurred. Okay, so this will be checked, this will be audited by this department. Okay, including those of bodies and authorities financed by the government. So not only state government and union government bodies, and also the bodies which are getting state funds and union funds will also be audited, will also be checked. Their accounts will also be checked by Comptroller and Auditor General of India. So this is about COG. Okay, so let us see another function of Public Accounts Committee. So it examines public expenditure to discover technical irregularity. So what are technical irregularities means they have to tally. Okay, so what is the income they have received, what is the amount they were sanctioned and what amount they have spent. Okay, so it should be tallied, and what amount is the balance. So they should check scrutinously. Okay, so they examine public expenditure to discover technical irregularities. So their main duty is to find out the irregularities in the income and the expenditure of those departments, of all government departments, both central government departments and state government departments. Okay, it examines whether the public funds are dispersed properly. So public funds will be dispersed or will be allotted during budget. Okay, so during budget, every year budget will be announced. Okay, so in that budget itself every department will get their allotments. Okay, so it will check, that means Public Accounts Committee will check those allotments, so they were sanctioned or not. So according to those allotments, amount is sanctioned, money is sanctioned or not to all the departments or not. Okay, so it will check examine whether the public funds are dispersed properly. Okay, so if the amount sanctioned is 1000 crores and the amount allotted is 1000 crores and sanctioned is only 500 crores, means that is not properly dispersed. That means it should also be sanctioned 1000 crores. By why? Because means it is allotted 1000 crores. So it will be checked by Public Accounts Committee. And next it investigates the money spent on any service in excess of the amount granted by the Lok Sabha. So Lok Sabha will grant in the budget itself to all the departments. So what amount should be granted, what amount should be allotted to those departments for this financial year. So that amount only they should spend. Okay, they should not spend more than that amount. So this Public Accounts Committee will find out those irregularities. Okay, whether the amount sanctioned and the spent is same or not. So whether it is crossed or whether it is less or whether it is equal. So that means income is equal to expenditure. So all these points are checked by this Public Accounts Committee. Okay, so let us see about the second committee, that is Estimates Committee. So this Estimates Committee of Lok Sabha was first constituted in April 1950. So in 1950 this Estimates Committee was established, and what is the composition means the Estimates Committee consists of not more than 30 members who are elected by Lok Sabha. Okay, so this Estimates Committee consists of 30 members. So all these 30 members belong to Lok Sabha itself. Only Lok Sabha members will be the members in Estimates Committee. Okay, so let us see the functions of Estimates Committee. So first function is it offers suggestions in regard to the economy, in expenditure, improvement in organization and efficiency of the union government. So this Estimate Committee will give suggestions in regard to the economy and expenditure. So what economy means? Saving. Okay, so saving of expenditure, not to spend more and more money, unnecessary money. Okay, so that is why this Estimate Committee will give suggestions to save the money and not to waste money. Okay, next, improvement in organization and efficiency of the union government. So it will also suggest Estimates Committee will also suggest for the improvement in organization. So every year that the organization or that department should show its improvement in its performance. So that will be suggested by Estimates Committee. And next, and efficiency of the union government. So it will also check, or it will also suggest about the regarding the efficiency of the union government. So in this manner you are doing very well, and next you have to improve this. So like that it will give suggestions. And next it will examine whether the public funds are dispersed as per the estimate. So estimates are allotted in the budget, and these according to these estimates itself the allotment and the sanctioning of amount will be there. So this Estimates Committee will check whether the public funds are dispersed as per the estimates. So according to the estimates only, according to the allotment in the estimates only, in the budget only, the amount should be sanctioned to all the government departments in union government and also state government. So that point, or that will be checked by Estimates Committee. So whether the government funds or whether the government money is dispersed according to the estimates, according to the allotment or not. And next it examines whether the money laid out within the limits of the policy implied in the estimate. So it also examines whether the money laid out within the limits of the policy implied in the estimates. Okay, so Estimates Committee will fix some amount to all the departments. So that fixation or allotment will not be same. So it will be different to different department based on the significance, based on the importance of the department. They will get more money. So if the department is less important department, then they will be sanctioned, or then they will be allotted less amount. So it will examine, that means Estimates Committee will examine whether the money laid out within the limits of the policy implied in the estimate. So it will also check, this committee will check the amount or will check the public funds granted, whether according to its importance, whether according to its need, or whether according to the estimates or not. So these are the main functions of the Estimates Committee. Okay, so next coming to the Committee on Public Undertakings. Okay, so this is the third committee of financial committees or parliamentary committees. Okay, Committee on Public Undertakings, and Committee on Public Undertakings functions are to examine the reports of COG and accounts of public undertaking. So the main duty of Committee on Public Undertaking is to examine the reports of COG. So already you have learnt about COG. COG means a Comptroller and Auditor General. It will check all the incomes and expenditure of all the union government and also state government departments. And this committee, that means Committee on Public Undertakings committee, will also examine that report also and accounts of public undertaking. So let us see what are public undertakings. Okay, so in India, a government owned corporation is termed as a public sector undertakings or PSU. So in India, a government owned corporation is termed as a public sector undertakings. So this term is used to refer to companies in which the government, either the federal, union government or the many state or territorial governments or both, own a majority 51% or more of the company equity. That means these companies are funded by the union government or state government. So those are called as public sector undertakings. That means they should run those institutions or they should run their organizations according to the rules and regulations given by the government of India or state governments. That means because they are getting funds from the government of India or state government. So these can be called as public sector undertakings, and these activities and their accounts will also be checked by this committee. So which committee means Committee on Public Undertakings. Okay, so those are government bodies. So that is why they are getting public funds or government funds. So that is why their accounts will also be checked by this Committee on Public Undertakings, and to examine whether the affairs of public undertakings are managed in accordance to principle. So government will give some guidelines or will give some rules and regulations to manage, to administer, to organize those institutions. So this Committee on Public Undertakings will check whether those guidelines, whether those rules and regulations are followed or not in that particular PSU, that means public sector undertaking. So this will be examined or this will be checked by this committee. Okay, next, to lighten the burden of Public Accounts Committee and Estimates Committee. So another duty of a Committee on Public Undertaking means taking public undertakings is to lessen the burden of Public Accounts Committee. So Public Accounts Committee is having a lot of work. So it has to check all the departments in our country, all departments in the union government and also state governments. Okay, so it is having lot of work. So that lot of work will be lessened to some extent by this committee. That means Committee on Public Undertakings and also Estimates Committee. So it also lessen the burden of Estimates Committee. That means this committee can be said as a helper to both the committees. That means the Public Accounts Committee and Estimates Committee. Okay, so that is about Committee on Public Undertakings. And so let us come to the final point of our topic, that is assignment. So today you have learnt about Rajya Sabha powers and function, chairman of Rajya Sabha powers and functions, and also parliamentary committees. So these two are also very, very important for your examination point of view. So that is why I would like to give you some questions as an assignment, and these are very important questions for your IPE. That means intermediate public examination. So all of you take your notebooks and note down all these questions. So you can prepare notes for these questions by watching this video itself. So you will get all the answers for these questions in this video itself. You go through this video again and again. You prepare notes and you learn them for your IPE examinations. Okay. So I will dictate these questions. So note down. The first question is, examine the role of financial committees in Parliament. The first question is, examine the role of financial committees in Parliament. So this question will be given for 10 marks. Okay, so in this chapter you will get surely 10 marks question. Okay, so 10 marks question will be powers and functions of Union Parliament or Union Legislature, or it may be powers and functions of Lok Sabha Speaker, or it may be the role of financial committees in Parliament. So you will get one question out of these three questions for 10 marks. Okay, so second question is, write a note on the chairman and deputy chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Okay, write a note on the chairman and deputy chairman of the Rajya Sabha. So this question will be given for 5 marks. Okay, so what do you know about, third question, what do you know about Public Accounts Committee? So third question is, what do you know about Public Accounts Committee? So this question is very, very important for your examinations. Okay, so it will be given for 5 marks. Okay, so next fourth question is, describe the composition and functions of Estimates Committee. Describe the composition and functions of Estimates Committee, and this question will be given for 2 marks or 5 marks. So either for 2 marks or for 5 marks, this question will be given about Estimates Committee. And next question is, fifth one is, qualifications of Rajya Sabha member. Okay, so qualifications of a Rajya Sabha member. So this question will be given for 2 marks, and this is also very, very important question. And sixth question is, Committee on Public Undertakings. And sixth question is, Committee on Public Undertakings. And this question will be given for 2 marks. Okay, so you can answer all these questions from today's topic itself. Okay, financial committees means all the 3 financial committees you have to explain. Okay, Public Accounts Committee and Estimates Committee, and the third one is Committee on Public Undertaking. So when they were established and how many members will be there and what are the main functions of those financial committees you have to explain. And next, chairman and deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha. So who will be the chairman of Rajya Sabha and how deputy chairman will be elected to the Rajya Sabha, and what are the main powers and functions of those chairman and deputy chairman. Okay, so next, what do you know about Public Accounts Committee means? This is given for 5 marks, and you have to explain about the establishment of Public Accounts Committee, members of Public Accounts Committee, and powers and functions of Public Accounts Committee. And next, Estimates Committee. Estimates Committee also you have to explain about the members. So 30 members will be there only from Lok Sabha. So that is the main difference of Lok Sabha Estimates Committee members. Only Lok Sabha members will be there in Estimates Committee. Okay, that too 30 members will be there. And next, qualifications of Rajya Sabha member. So Rajya Sabha member should complete 30 years of age, and he should be an Indian, and he should not hold any office of profit under state government or union government, and he should also satisfy or qualified for the prescribed qualifications given by the Parliament of India. And next, Committee on Public Undertaking. So this is for 2 marks question. This is 2 marks question, and you have to write that this committee will lessen the burden of Public Accounts Committee and Estimates Committee. Okay, so I would like to recall all the topics which you have learned in this session. Okay, so let us see, these are public sector undertakings. So these PSUs will get funds from the state government or union government. So that is why their accounts will also be checked by public committee on public undertakings. And the main function is it also examine the reports of COG and accounts of public undertakings to examine whether the affairs of public undertakings are managed in accordance to government principles or not. Okay, to lessen the burden of public accounts committee and estimates committee. Okay, that is the main functions of committee on public undertakings and estimates committee. Okay, so it will also examine the public funds, whether they are dispersed according to the estimates or not, and it will also suggest regarding the economy in the expenditure. Next, the composition of estimates committee, 30 members will be elected from Lok Sabha itself. And next, comptroller and auditor general and public accounts committee. So it exam, this is very important financial committee, and this committee examines the annual reports of COG of India, and also it examines public expenditure to discover technical irregularities. It examines whether the public funds are dispersed properly or not, and it also investigates the money spent on any service in excess of the amount granted by the Lok Sabha. Okay, so these are the public account committee members. So 15 from Lok Sabha and 7 from Rajya Sabha. They are elected by means of a single transferable vote, and their duration is 1 year, and no minister can become member of public accounts committee. So this is the comparison between among the three committees. Okay, estimates committee, public accounts committee, and committee on public undertakings. And these are financial committees which you have learned today. So committees are two types. Parliamentary committees are two types: standing committees and ad hoc committees. Standing committees are permanent committees. They work on continuously, and ad hoc committees are temporary committees. They will be dissolved or they will be abolished after the completion of their task. Okay. So these are the powers and functions of the chairman of Rajya Sabha. Okay, so deputy chairman and panel of vice chairpersons are there to conduct or to preside over the meetings of Rajya Sabha in the absence of chairman. Okay, so in the absence of chairman, deputy chairman will conduct. In the absence of chairman and deputy chairman, the panel of vice chairpersons will conduct the sessions of Rajya Sabha on rotation basis. Okay, and next, these are the qualifications of Rajya Sabha member. He should be a citizen of India, and 30 years of age is the minimum age, and he should reside in the state for a minimum of 6 months, and he should not hold any office of profit under state or union government. He should not be insane or bankrupt, or he shall possess such other qualifications as prescribed by the parliament. So this is Rajya Sabha, and it is also called as upper house or second house or Council of States, and it is constituted in 1952, and they are elected indirectly by state legislative members, and Election Commission of India will conduct the election of Rajya Sabha members, and this procedure was borrowed from South African Constitution. Okay, so this is the composition of Parliament, and this is Rajya Sabha. Okay, so this is Parliament. Parliament consists of 3 bodies. So Indian Parliament, and these are the chairpersons and also vice presidents of India. Okay, so this is a present chairperson of or chairman of Rajya Sabha, Venkaiah Naidu. Okay, so today you have learnt about Rajya Sabha and also parliamentary committees. Okay, so thank you one and all.